Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory Podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Burn Factory Podcast. I'm your host, Priest, joined by my co-host, my brother, the one and only Phoenix. Say what's up to the camera.
What's up, y'all?
This is called the Burn Factory for a reason. I was given a 50% chance to survive, but through that, started this podcast because I believe every single person out there on this planet goes through a burn moment somewhere in their life.
You heard Priest say a burn moment. So a burn moment is a super hard time in your life that you just have to fight and overcome. And me and Priest believe that every single person on this earth go through burn moments that truly make them who they are. But Priest, what an amazing guest we have today. We have wanted him on our podcast for a very long time. He is the greatest combat athlete of all time. He was the youngest ever to win a gold medal in the Olympics. He's in the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, and he was the fourth person ever to become a double champ in UFC history. Not only this, but he is a great man and an even better mentor to us.
So please welcome Henry Cejudo.
Oh, thank you, guys.
So many accolades.
Bruce Buffer, move out the way. You've been replaced, Bruce Buffer. No,
Yes,
but thank
sir.
you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. You know, obviously, I'm here in you guys' home, here in your studio. So, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys having me.
Of course. So, Henry, 15 years ago today, your life changed by winning the Olympic gold medal in freestyle wrestling.
Oh,
What was like that?
Are you really?
We got
the
a little gift for you. You say that sometimes it's better than your birthday, so we got a little cake.
God, you guys
I'm
are
gonna
deep,
spill
man.
this.
Like, you know what? Era Hawani, move out the way too, man.
Where should
We
we, put
gotta-
this?
This is
You can see it.
This is so cool, man. I mean, it's 15 years. Yeah, I mean, I'm even looking at the cake and I can see my pimples through it. You know, I was so young, man. 21 years old, becoming the youngest in history at the time in 2008. You know, I think first of all, thank you guys so much for the cake, and we're gonna
We'll
chow down.
indulge in this after.
Are we?
Yeah,
Whose face is gonna go on this? Huh? Yeah. So 15 years till today is when I became the youngest in history to ever win an Olympic gold medal. And why is this better than my birthdays? Because, you know, obviously we don't say when we're actually born, but when you commit yourself to the dream and when you commit to something that you're more likely to get struck by lightning than to become an Olympic champion. I mean, it's a dream that sometimes you can even say it's far-fetched, and especially the sport of wrestling. But it's important to me because of just my upbringing. How is it that I was raised? How is it that I came up? You know, coming from an immigrant family. You know, being one of 7 kids, raised by a single mother. And the fascinating part about all of this is my mom wasn't able to attend the Olympics due to her citizenship status. So here I am going over to China, to Beijing, China, becoming the absolute best in the world. And the person who raised me wasn't there because of her citizenship status. So she wasn't able to travel. So I went out on Jay Leno. I went out on a bunch of like different TV shows. Everybody was kind of always give me well, how come your mom wasn't there? And I just make up all these different excuses. Oh yeah, you know Mexicans. You know they have about 15. You know she has about 20 different grandsons and granddaughters. But it's special to me not just because I accomplished it, but what is it that I actually did to get there? You know, foregoing college, becoming a professional at the age of 17. And then kind of being written out by everybody. Like, and nobody really believed that I could forego college and within 4 years go out there and actually win it. So I pretty much bet on myself. And I think the adversity that I went through to actually get there is pretty much second to none. So winning the Olympic gold was like, I felt like I stole something.
Yeah.
Like, is this really me? Is this really happening? So it's a moment that's super surreal that now I'm able to inspire the world. You know, and I think that's more of what I take from becoming an Olympic champion. It's not the medal. It's no longer about that I became the best when I accomplished my dream. Now it's like, how is it that I could pay it forward?
For sure. What made you choose the international route and not going to college for wrestle?
Because I remember this vividly, and because I remember going to Russia when I was in high school, and they took me to the world's toughest tournament. It's in Siberia. It's called Krasnoyarsk, and they have nothing but the best wrestlers literally show up. I mean, I was watching world and Olympic champs getting put out within first and second round. And I remember I went out there and I pretty much got put out in the first round against my rival, Bisa Kudakov. And I remember being so upset and so sad and so mad, all these different emotions. And I remember just sitting here, it's like, why is Russia ahead of us? You know why they're ahead of us? Because that's all they do is they do freestyle wrestling. So I wanted to change that because here in the United States, for those who are watching, it's like, we have freestyle wrestling and Greco-Roman wrestling here in the United States, but that isn't our dominant, the most popular style of wrestling. It's called folk style, you know, which is a traditional style of wrestling where they only do in the United States and the whole world, which is a very, very tough style. And I remember there was, and it was probably the coldest day, and I think in Russia history it was like -40 at that time. Yeah, like that. Like it's dangerous. Like if you go outside, like your eyelids will like if you just close your eyes for a little bit, like they will literally stay shut. But I'll never forget it because I remember being at that tournament, just watching everybody win. I'm just like this the whole time. But at the same time, I'm pissed. I'm mad. But I also want to watch the competition because I'm still learning. But I'm learning as I'm gritting my damn teeth. And I remember that day that I made my decision. I'm like, you know what? Like, enough is enough, dude. Like, we have to change this. And I said, it starts with me. So then I made the commitment of foregoing college. Right now, I was the #1 recruit in the whole United States. I was the pound for pound best wrestler in the United States. Like, every school wanted me. All the way from Harvard to Iowa. Was I going to get into Harvard? Probably not. But but Iowa, like the biggest schools in the country wanted to recruit me. And I committed to something. So I kind of became a professional. I did that on purpose too. Like, you know what? I'm going to start taking money so I can just get people to stop trying to chase me, stop trying to sign me. Like, no, I'm committed. Like, I'm all in. Mm-hmm. Over a $3,000 check. I'm like, no, I'm doing it, man. This is what it's like. I'm all in. So then Pre said it worked out.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to make that decision?
No, not really, because I was so loyal to the dream. I was so committed to the dream that to me, I didn't want that college life. I didn't want something that everybody else had. I wanted to be different. You know, I wanted to be different, and I think that's what really, you know, allowed me to make that decision. It's like, you know, now being an entrepreneur, it's like it's cool to kind of manage, and you know, obviously you see your mom and dad, how is it that they run their business, but it's cool to make those decisions on your own. You have nobody to blame but you.
Still to this day, do you think about winning the gold medal, or do you go days without thinking about it? Or
you forget. But I remember like when I first won the Olympics, because it was so surreal. It's like I was ranked 31st in the world, like getting into the Olympic Games. Stephen Abbas, who was a returning Olympic silver medalist, came back, and he was a terror already. And this was my idol. Like, this is the guy that I grew up trying to mimic and wrestle like. And here I am, I'm getting ready to wrestle my idol to actually make an Olympic team. Like, we both meet up to the finals. It's one of the most epic wrestling matches in USA wrestling history.
And he was the silver gold medalist in the 2004 games.
Exactly. And he won a silver. So to me, it was like, even though he had won that silver, like, I'm just like, man, I want to wrestle and I want to be just like this dude. Very slick style of wrestling. And I'm sure your dad has watched. I'm sure Jason has watched Stephen Abbas.
You know what I love about
slick.
The match to even get qualified to be in the Olympic team is at the end of the first round, you walk in and nudge him with your shoulder and show him what's up. And was there like a kind of a beef right there? Or
there was, because a lot of people don't know this, but we this is terrible. But you know, this is the Burger Factory, right? We gotta tell it.
Tell how it
is. On top of me, actually, we used to date the same girl, to say the least. So the girl that he used to be boyfriends. So the girl, so he was. It's hard to explain because she's no longer like my girlfriend. But at that time, like he was dating the girl that eventually became my first girlfriend, like ever. I don't believe the whole Sean O'Malley story. You know, so it was awkward. It was weird, and like it was weird because everybody in USA Wrestling knew everything about everything, but it's particularly this match because there is a romance behind this thing, you know, and. So he was my idol. What happened is, you know, at that time, kind of pretty much still his girlfriend, and then I had to wrestle this dude to make an Olympic team, and all that kind of somewhat happened. And then I ended up going out when he was an Olympic silver medalist, and I had to go out and actually winning gold. Oh, you know, so it's
clean sweep.
I mean, you talk about a a hole in one, dude. I don't know what would you call it, but that's like there's more to that wrestling match than even just making an Olympic team.
Do you think you were more nervous in that wrestling match than you were in your Olympic gold medal match?
It's a good question. It's probably the same because I've always saw competition the same. Like I've always respected every opponent. Like it was never really like obviously the Olympic Games it was a lot more nerve-wracking, like especially in the finals. Like I remember getting ready for the finals and this is like my dream. And guys, when I made the Olympic team, obviously I was the last person to qualify to get to the Olympic Games. And the year before I was 31st in the world, so I was ranked 31st in the world. And I was the last person to get into to qualify for the Olympics. And on top of that, I draw the world champion in the first round, which his name was Radoslav Velikov from Bulgaria. And then on top of that, I had struggled to make weight. I was literally, I was like 10 pounds over and I had to lose in about 2 hours. Oh. But this is like 10 pounds already dehydrated. So I'm able to, I after I won the Olympics, I was able to write a book, an autobiography. And I kind of able to tell like my whole story. At the age of 24, I was already an author. But I'll never forget it because I remember in my first 3 matches, I was actually down. So on top of me being, so on top of me being 31st in the world, not scoring a point in the last year World Championships, on top of me being the underdog against Stephen Abbott trying to make the Olympic team, on top of that, that was the last time I was in a cut weight ever. Like I was literally going to retire from wrestling after the Olympics. I was just fed up with it, of struggling to make weight. And then I draw the world champion first round and I'm losing that wrestling match. Come back from behind, beat him. The second match I go up against a Georgian who was also, I was also underdog there, losing, came back from behind and beat him. And the semifinals I beat the Azerbaijani, who again, I was down, came back and actually beat him. So to me, I was like, damn. And once I beat him in the semis, I remember celebrating like crazy. Like you guys wouldn't believe. Because I come from the lineage of Dan Gable, like Terry Brands. Like if you guys know like college wrestling, it's like when people say Dan Gable, like, oh, damn. You're under that dude. It's like a military style of wrestling where you're either cut out for it or you're not. And I remember celebrating the semifinals, like, I was like, super stoked. And my coach is like, he comes from that lineage, is like, hey, man, you haven't done anything. Like, it's all or nothing. I remember him telling me, you got one more match. You got one more. And I'm just I went from celebration to like, kind of like bowing, like, yeah, you're right. Like, you're right. Like, it isn't over. But I'll never forget it because I remember going back. To the hotel that we were at. And there was like maybe about a 4 or 5 hour period where we, before the finals, and I remember going back to my room and I'm just like, all right, man, I want to take a nap. Like I always do. I can take a nap during a marching band. I can take a nap at just anywhere, dude, on planes, anything. But that day in particular, I just couldn't sleep, man.
Really?
I couldn't sleep because all of these memories that I had as a kid that were mesmerized in my head, I'm just like, dude, I am hours away from trying to accomplish something that I've always set out to do. First time in my life that I really felt scared. I was sitting there. I was in bed. I was rolling. I grabbed my coach's Bible. Kind of started reading the Bible a little bit. Like nothing was really kind of calming me down. And then by the time those 5 hours, those 4 hours, it felt like eternity. Like I'm just like, damn. Like it's because it's not just another wrestling match. It's like you're literally like kind of fighting for your dream. Mm-hmm. And I was a kid that at the training center, I would work day in and day out. Like I was the first one or the last one to leave. Like there was times in the wrestling room that the janitors would be in there and actually cleaning, and they're actually turning off the door. I'd be like, hey guys, I'm still here. Like I'm still here. Can you guys turn the lights back on? Like I was that type of kid, like legit. I know a lot of people tend to say like, oh, nobody works harder than me. But I know that when I competed and I wrestled, that nobody really worked and put the time that I did in the sport. And I'm thinking of everything that kind of happened in my life. And then once the time was up, I remember my coach telling me, hey, are you ready, Henry? And I'm just like, yeah. But I'm like, little did he know, dude, I was just super nervous to the point where I was scared because I never really felt that. But it was weird because once they picked me up, and then it probably took about a half hour to get to the actual arena. And once I got to the actual arena, like all those nerves that I had just left. Like it was a trip. Like I just got the chills right now because of all the time that I had thought about this moment. I'm just like, dude, this is too real. This is too good to be true. This is like I felt so relaxed that I'm almost just like, dude, this isn't real now. What's wrong with me? Like I almost wanted to go back to being scared and nervous. Yeah, and sure enough, get to the finals against the Japanese and just beat them. A clean shutout. 2 periods to none. You know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget it because I remember grabbing the American flag and thinking about like my family as an immigrant son. One of 7 kids. Raised by a single mother. Dad was a drug addict, in and out of jail. Stealing our Christmas presents when we were kids for crack money. And I just remember grabbing that American flag for everything that we went through as a family. And I remember grabbing it and just, I was just like screaming to the point where I'm screaming, but I'm crying because it's an emotion that I'll just never forget. You know what I mean? Just leaving that frustration, just leave. And it's like, hey man, everything that happened in our lives was worth it. What came to this moment, and it was just so special that it's surreal. Because as a little kid, I remember watching Michael Johnson. You guys are way too young for him. I know your dad. Yeah, track and field. It was a hot summer day of 1996, and I remember as a kid at that time we lived in a junkyard inside of a trailer. It was a black and white TV with wooden panels on the side, and the only way to change the channel was making sure the pliers were hooked on the right way. And the only way to get reception was making sure that hangers, something about hangers. And sometimes you got to tap this side and sometimes it'll turn on. But that day I watched it. That day I happened to watch the Olympics. And I'm just like, dude, Michael Johnson, just the way he shattered the 200 with his infamous gold shoes to win Olympic gold medal just changed my life and my perspective like forever. I didn't know in what sport I wanted to go to the Olympics in. I just knew that I wanted to be an Olympic champion. And when all that stuff kind of comes together and how just everything just unfolds, I'm just like, dude, like this is just too surreal. So I go back. So this is why, guys, this is probably more precious than my actual birthday because of the adversity. Yeah. Because of not just a symbol of being an Olympic champion, but saying like, hey, you can overcome anything in life and you can do it while representing your beautiful country.
Yeah. I think the most amazing thing was just your ambition for the gold medal. And last night you kind of mentioned something funny that the reason you won the gold medal was because you feared that feeling of losing.
Yeah.
And just that put amazing perspective in my life. Like once you fear that feeling of just losing and letting everyone down, then you can really achieve tremendous things in life.
Yeah, well, it's that, but it's more of the actual pain. You know what I'm saying? Like the pain, like you guys are probably too young. I don't know how many breakups you guys have been through. Remember that little pain that, it hurts. It hurts, but it feels so good. It's somewhat like that, but it was, of course, it was a desire to become an Olympic gold medalist to do that. It was always a desire, but also like the motivation becomes different. Like you get to the point where you get to the highest levels, it's like, I don't want to feel that pain no more. I don't want to feel that pain of feeling second place. Like I don't. And I remember wrestling, I'm just like, and even then, like even right before I wrestled at the Olympic Games, I knew that was my last tournament. Like in my head, I'm just like, I'm going to wrestle like it's my last day on earth. Like if you're going to beat me, you better kill me. I don't know if you guys have seen the TikTok. If you're going to beat me, you better kill me.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It was like that type of mentality that I had to take it there because 2 out of the 4 guys that I even wrestled at the Olympic Games had beat me in the same tournament exactly about a year apart. So not only was I able to become an Olympic champion, I was also able to avenge 2 losses that I didn't like. So it was the pain of losing, if you know how to use it right, it'll take you to places that And it sucks feeling like that, but it will take you. It will take you to a place where it'll motivate you, where you'll be like, damn, it's different. It's not what I thought.
Yeah.
I just thought it was all love and pure desire. It's like, no, guys, that's not true. When you're a high level competitor, it's like, I don't want to feel pain no more.
Yeah.
Like, I hate it.
What was that significant burn moment that made you believe that you will become a gold medal? It's medalist. Gold medal.
This is just a dream, dude. Like, it all started off with an imagination. I go back to that Michael Johnson story. It was that moment. It was that moment that that really sparked that fire within me to take it to a whole nother level, man. Like, it started off with inspiration, and then and then that dream slowly becomes a goal, and then that goal becomes a reality, and then just like, boom, what's next? What's next to conquer?
Yeah. So Henry, actually on this show, we use the acronym BURN. So each letter is a different time in your life. So starting with B, you mentioned your childhood a little bit, but take us back to your childhood, to your middle school days. And were there some burn moments that you had to overcome?
Oh, of course. Of course. I think a lot of it, first of all, I like to start off with maybe poverty, like not having much as an immigrant son. Like to us as a family, it wasn't about gangs and violence and all that other stuff. Like, if you want to find it, that's everywhere. That could be in this neighborhood too. Go knock on somebody's door and tell them off, and you'll see it.
Yeah.
It was more of just the fact of being having the nutrition to be able to, because I grew up malnutrition as a kid. Like, maybe we would be lucky to eat twice. I remember having a growling stomach as a kid, going to 13 different schools, 13 different elementary schools growing up. I could probably name them all, and all in a 5-mile radius block.
Jeez.
But it's a real story, and a lot of these people is what a lot of kids go through that. But as you get older, you start to understand that's actually what made you.
Yeah.
Because every day, it almost felt like every 6 months it was, hey, you got a new, you're a new student, and you got hey, class, hey, and then it's like, dude, we started all over again. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like, but that also kind of build the callus. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you almost kind of start to become bulletproof, and you start to understand more of like the real world. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of what the beginning had taught me at such a young age. And I think me being a father now, it's like, I wouldn't want my kid to go through that as much as I became successful through it, because there is a better way.
Yeah.
If you didn't transfer school so many times, do you think your life would be completely different?
Yeah, I think so. But I don't think the hunger that I've maybe had, like mentally and literally, would probably be there. But, sometimes if life gives you orange, what do? You make orange juice. You got to deal with the cards you're dealt with. And I think as a kid, we already understood, because my mom was hard on us. Like, my mom was like a very traditional Mexican lady that had her own trauma growing up, and she's just like, hey, this is what it is. This is what it is, guys. This isn't where the cat never catches Tweety. It's like, no, that's like, you guys screw up, and this is what it is. So like, we almost kind of like looking back at it now, like, all right, man, like, we got it, but man, you don't want to grow up too young, because you lose some of that kind of that innocence, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Do you think you grew up too young?
Yeah. I already knew that. I knew too much at such a young age. 100%.
Did you play any other sports growing up?
No. I was a kid that we couldn't afford a lot of things. Like, I never grew up with animals. So we didn't have any animals. We didn't have any cats. We didn't have any dogs or anything like that. Did we want one? Maybe, but could we afford them was the biggest thing. And that's one thing that we didn't. But that's one thing that I do owe credit to, is like I was a street kid that played a lot outside. Mm. Like, I was always barefooted. I was always doing something that was agile, because I had a lot of energy. And I did play soccer that was actually the first sport that we played, and it was like some drunk guy at the apartments that we lived in. He decided to like start like a soccer team because he had a kid who liked soccer, who didn't really like soccer. He was trying to make him play soccer. Yeah. So this dude would drink a 6-pack and he would just make us all like, you know, because it was a neighborhood that was full of a bunch of kids, and he was just like, hey, all right, man. I don't even think he knew how to play soccer. So we're just like, he wanted to start a team. And we're just like, yeah, man, that sounds good. Yeah, we'll be part of your team. So we're pretty good we're pretty good soccer players as a kid, but even that perspective kind of changed. I knew that I wanted an individual sport because it was me, my brother, and a bunch of other little kids. We made it to the finals, man. A bunch of these, like, imagine like the Little Rascals. Like, think of that movie. You know, we're all like just half of our, you know, maybe there's a couple parents that would go to the games, maybe one. But we made it all the way to the finals, man. We get to this, like, there's like a blowout. Like, this team completely like just beats us, dude. Like 10-2 or 10-1, something stupid and crazy. And I remember I was so pissed off. I was so mad that both me and my brother, like I was probably about 10. My brother was probably about 12. That me and him, we started kind of like blaming each other. We almost started fighting in the in the football court. And then on top of that, so my brother was even like, he was super mad at me because they ended up pulling him out of the game and they kept me in.
Oh, no.
It's just like, we're going to lose anyways, but it's better if we just let Henry play, because they knew I was kind of like a firecracker too. But then my brother was like, man, you wait till we get home. And then we got home, and then our mom was like, well, so what happened? She was like, well, and this is the type of mentality that we grew up in. Yeah, but the coach said, because they gave us all a trophy. And it's like, but the coach said that we all won, like everybody wins. And then my mom's like, it's like, your coach is wrong. He's like, there's only one winner. And she's like, let me see those trophies. And she grabs a trophy. I don't know what she did with them, but she's like, man, you guys didn't win anything. As a matter of fact, dude, she grabbed the belt. Bah, bah, you guys embarrassing me in front of everybody. Like, because we legit started fighting, actually like telling each other off in Spanish. Oh. So she's like, yeah, not only are you guys not going to have trophies, but you guys are going to get a whooping. And she got us both. But I understood it. You know what I'm saying? So I come from that lineage. It's like, all right, man, like you guys could be kids, but let's not get overboard. Mm-hmm. But what I did understand too from playing soccer, it's like I knew that I belonged in wrestling. Like I knew I belonged in a contact sport, on a one-on-one competition. You know, because growing up, we grew up watching boxing. And then somehow wrestling fell into our laps. You know, as a kid growing up in West Phoenix, and this is the beginning, so we're still in the letter B. Mm-hmm. Like a bunch of drunk Mexican guys would get together, and they used to make us fight. They used to make us fight as a sort of entertainment. You know, whether it was with gloves or without gloves, but these dudes would just get there, and you know, it was. They have like those little ice cream carts that was completely illegal, and sometimes they would sell drugs out of them. But the majority of the time, those dudes were like legit selling ice cream. And they're like, Henry, and they used to call me a tigre. He's like, hey, he's like, how much for this guy? And I would kind of negotiate with these dudes. All right, so how big is he? All right, let's go. Let's bring it down. But to me, I've also noticed that it was the ice cream, but it was more that spirit of competition that was already engraved in me. I already had a certain attitude to me that I knew that I had to pay attention to. So then kind of start fighting in the neighborhoods, or I'm sorry, in our apartments like that, to eventually my brother Angel, who started wrestling first, my brother Angel and George. And I remember going to their wrestling match for the first time. And at first when they said wrestling, I was thinking like WWF, like, oh, okay, dude, they have that in school. I was thinking like the ring and all that. But when I got there, it was like a wrestling mat. And I remember seeing these two, they had like wrestlers. It was at the junior high. I remember seeing these two dudes come together. They would actually compete, and then they would put each other, and then the person that would put the other person on the back, you know, would win. And then I was a bit confused, but I was like, I remember being mesmerized by it. Because then the principal would come up and literally give the dude a medal or give him something. I'm just like, man, and they're being rewarded for fighting? What? So when I saw that, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do, that I wanted to compete. And then the rest was history.
Yeah. What was that competition between like you and your brother Angel like? Because he was unbelievable in high school as well. 150-0 he was.
Yeah. It was competition, but it was almost more of Angel kind of played a father figure with me because he was bigger than me. So I was like his little brother, but I was also somewhat of his son, you know, because he was kind of like the more mature, more reserved. I was more of, you know, a little wild. Like you had to tell me maybe more than twice to do it, or maybe 3 times. So he had to play even as a brother a certain role with me. Because remember, it was 7 of us, so our mom made us responsible to kind of take care of each other. And if one did something wrong and the other one didn't see, then like you guys are both kind of gonna get in trouble. You know, so it was somewhat like that.
Did he ever want to get into combat sports after wrestling?
Yeah. Yeah, he had aspirations, but I think with my brother, I think he had a better talent. I think more of his love was in actually teaching. And he did a hell of a good job with that. I mean, this year he was voted in the United States as the best wrestling coach in the country.
Wow.
Like, you guys have any idea how hard that is? Like, there's a lot of great coaches, but when somebody says that dude this year is the best wrestling coach in the country, it's an honor, you know. So he got the award this year over the summer. I'm just like, man, like I just, you know, I go back and I'm just like, man, I love my brother. Like, there's nobody really on this earth that I admire more than my brother Angel.
And any specific reason why? Just because he was a father figure?
No, it was more just because of his character. Like, you know, like always trying to do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? I was kind of like the angel, the devil was kind of like the devil a little bit. Angel was always legit the angel. And I was just like, man, why can't I be more like that? Like, you know, like, do I have to break that window? Like, do I have to?
Yeah.
So I think of that, but I just think of him as just being overall a role model. You know, being the first, you know, being number 1 in the country, being undefeated in high school. I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? And just being loved by people. Yeah. You know, like I was never really loved by people like my brother Angel was. You know, you may be a fan or whatever, but even when I was a kid, I was always a bit different. You know, because I wouldn't just try to wrestle you or beat you. Like I would try to prove a point. Like I would go to that extent of overkill. Like, you know, some people are like, dude, this dude is like,
this dude needs to chill.
yeah, exactly. You know, from 0 to 100 real quick.
All right, Henry, it's time to go on to you and Burn. Unfortunate. I believe that through those unfortunate Burn moments, the best things can come out of them. Just like myself, whenever I was unfortunately burned in a school science experiment by my teacher that permanently left me scarred and had a 50% chance to survive and spent a week in ICU. But during those tough times, I had my dad go get my putter because I'm a competitive golfer, and I'd put golf balls into a glass jar, and that's when I called it my burn moment, as I'm all hooked up to all the cables, IVs, and like I couldn't even see the left side of the ball because my face was all swelled up. And in that moment, I could have either worried about dying, or I could have worried about having the good time and the best time to get me to where I'm at today.
Yeah. Yeah, you either swing or you swim. But yeah, I think adversity is a gift. I think your perspective has a lot to do with adversity and how is it that you actually view it. But I think the unfortunate part is probably not having a father. Like, you know, my legit blood. I think now me, you know, having America, you guys see my little girl. It's, you know, I try to be there, man. Sometimes as tough as it is, you know, it's like I wouldn't change it for the world. But then I go back and I think of their past, what's happened to them, and really understanding sometimes that's just the way life is. So I think the unfortunate part is at times not having that masculine energy, that masculine person that could teach you certain things, rather than being raised by your brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a you that I would consider. You know, for those who are watching, if you have kids or you pretend to have kids, like, be there. Be there, because not everybody is as fortunate to have a worldview or perspective like myself.
It was hard. I mean, I couldn't imagine not having a father figure. But looking back now, do you think that was beneficial to you? Because now you being a father, you're taking that extra push to be the best father you could be.
Yeah, but sometimes you don't know what you don't know, you know? But yeah, of course. I think it was able to pave the way to where I can understand life a little bit better. And it was better for him to be gone than for him to continue to keep being abusive to my mother and being on drugs. You know, my dad eventually, unfortunately, maybe that could be it too, is he died a year before the Olympics, before I became an Olympic gold medalist.
Oh.
And I was supposed to go see him like a month or two before he actually passed away. And my family didn't convince me to go. There's like an eerie feeling that I wanted to go see I wanted to finally meet this dude. I wanted to see his personality. Like, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the traits that a lot of people would tell me that I have of him. Just to talk to him, even just one time. But that's not the way life works sometimes. So that was one thing that I feel like would have been cool. But maybe things work out the way it works out because we just don't know.
Yeah. So you never spoke to him?
No. I think the last time I spoke to him, we left when I was maybe about, we left South Central LA when I was about 4.5. And then I spoke to him like once when I was like maybe in second grade, like over the phone. It wasn't like in person. And then as I got older, it kind of started being like, hey man, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm getting good at this stuff. Like, I wonder what this guy's really like. You know what I mean? So I started having that curiosity, and then, you know, you get super close and then boom, he dies. Heart failure, overdose, whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And it was it. At 44, 45 years of age, it's just done.
Did that affect your mentality going into the Olympics?
No, I don't think so. It never affected any of that, but I did feel it. You know what I'm saying? Because you still kind of you lingering with those questions, with those question marks. But even that aside from all that, like I still don't judge him for that, you know. And that's what I'm telling you guys as kids, and obviously you guys have parents, that you never want to. Who are we to judge? Do you know your father's past life to be able to do that? Because if you did, maybe you understand him a little bit more. And I slowly started to kind of really understand more of his life. Like the dude his father left him. You know what I'm saying? He was living on the streets when he was, you know, selling gum and all that when he in Mexico City at the age of 10. You know, stealing, doing all that to kind of survive. You know, probably things happened to him. He was probably sexually abused as a kid. And then, you know what I mean? So you kind of start to kind of figure out that a lot of this trauma, thank God that it wasn't necessarily passed on to us. Because if he was present and he wasn't right, how much could he have screwed us up or myself?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it all depends how you cut it, slice it, and dice it.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's hard to even think about. But then, so you after the Olympics, you retired after the Olympics, and then you came back. So how hard was it coming back for the Olympics and back to wrestling?
Yeah, so after I retired from wrestling, like I was done. That weight cut really did it, and then especially on top of being an Olympic champion, like I was just like, oh, I'm definitely done now. Like I'm out. You know, it's like you win the Super Bowl and I'm out. I'm going highs on everybody. You know, just leave on
right
top.
off into the sunset.
Yeah, but I was able to, you know, at that time when I won the Olympics, it was big. It was voted the second most inspiring stories of all the Olympic Games. It was only second to Michael Phelps. So at that time, Michael Phelps won 8 Olympic gold medals. And then I think after that story I think it was Kobe Bryant that they put at number 3. They started ranking like all the incredible stories, and then I was just happened to be second next to Michael Phelps. At that time, Michael Phelps won 8. Obviously, I don't get 8 opportunities, but
what was that like, being second?
Oh, it was cool. I mean, that's the only time that I could say, because it's not like I'm getting an award, but it's like it's cool for people to acknowledge what is it that somebody kind of went to actually get there and actually win. Mm-hmm. You know, so I was on Leno, I was on George, I was on I was on Jay Leno a couple times. I was on Oprah. I was on all these. I was with Larry King Live. Like I did all these different TV shows, like #1 shows in the country, kind of just sharing the story. And then and then my book came out like 2 years later. Cause they only gave like I think a few books out to a few of the Olympic champions, and then I was one of them with Michael Phelps. I think it was Sean Johnson, then it was myself. And then I was able to just start a whirlwind. So when I won the Olympics, my life completely changed. So I was doing public speaking at the biggest corporations in the world, in front of Coca-Cola. Like they heard my story. They heard me speak one time, and I remember the president was like, "Hey man, you're gonna come and speak to our annual conference. This is the world's most recognized brand." And I'm over here speaking in front of thousands of people. Coca-Cola, TD Ameritrade, Procter and Gamble. I was like a global ambassador for like the biggest companies in the world. I was pretty much having fun doing motivational, speaking. And the last year that I decided to come back, pretty much coming back for the wrong reasons. But so it wasn't the same. But it was financially, it was just like the right position to kind of pull me out, because every company wanted to sponsor me. And I'm just like, you know what, man? I mean, I got to give it a try, even though my love wasn't there no more. And my ability took me so far, but it wasn't enough. Like I made it all the way in 6 matches. I think I only had maybe about 6 matches. I made it all the way to Olympic trials semifinals. Barely losing the semifinals to get into the finals to make an Olympic team. Like, after 3 years off. And I gave everything I had, man. I barely lost, and that dude kind of just, woof. Yeah, it was one of those. It was another Aljamain kind of type fight. Where it was super close, but it's more meaningful because you're talking about the Olympics now. Like, you're not talking about some organized stuff. Oh, this guy's a trash talker, let's put him in. Oh, this guy's gonna be able to sell, let's put him in. It's like, no. At the Olympic trials, at the Olympic Games, it's the best versus the best. What are you really made out of? Is your strategy better than everybody else's? And that's kind of what you prove. And that's why I take more pride in becoming an Olympic champion than 2 UFC bouts. Like it's uncomparable.
Yeah. Did you ever get too overwhelmed after winning the Olympic with all the sponsors and media and?
No, I just felt like people at that time. I actually, as soon as I won the Olympics, I was like, man, people need to stop talking to me, dude, because I wasn't accustomed to that. Yeah, someone was like, hey, like, God, dude. I was like, I think I got mad that night. Yeah, I'm like, dude, everybody stop. Like, I just wanted to compete. I just wanted to win. But then you get all this other stuff, and it's just like, and then I started to understand, like, it comes with the territory. Yeah. Like, bro, get used to it. Have a better attitude. And it's not like I was ever a punk about it, but it was something new. I was just like, bro, like, you guys leave me alone, dude. Actually, I think a couple of days later, I got in a fight with my brother, actually Angel. I'm like, dude, am I gonna go over there to say hi to people? Like, I'm just, dude, I'm like done. Sick. I'm done, dude. Like, I'm toasted.
Do you think that prepped you for everything that you got becoming a UFC champion and a double champion for that?
Yeah, of course. When we understand that adversity is our friend and it's what makes us, that's all it was. What wrestling taught me, I was able to retire from the greatest and toughest sport in the world to be able to get into mixed martial arts and have fun and actually make money. Because that's what it is. Yeah, it looks brutal on TV, but when it comes to the level of competition, it is nowhere near the Olympic Games. Like, nowhere near.
Think about the strength it gave you too. Not many people know this, but you did roll your ankle in the Marlon Moraes fight the week of, and you had to fight through that. That's an unfortunate bear moment.
Yeah. If you go back to like the fighting game, like that was, it's not just with that, but even when I first beat Demetrius Johnson. If you guys go back and watch that first round, the first 30 seconds of the fight, he kicks me right in the peroneal nerve. My leg starts to wobble. My it's like Conor McGregor says, my foot was a balloon. My foot was a balloon.
Yeah.
But I had to fight this dude for 5 rounds with a sprained ankle, like legit a sprained ankle. But I remember and I went back and I thought about that pain and what it feels like to lose. And I was able to, with the desire, I was able to kind of get that split decision and be able to go all 5 rounds. With the Marlon Moraes fight too, spraining my ankle a week on that Tuesday of fight week or Monday of fight week. You know, my ankle was purple and blue, man. Like literally, I'll show you guys a picture here when once we're out here. When you see, it, be like, damn. Like the coaches were trying to tell me, don't fight, dude. I'm just like, nah. I talk too much stuff. Yeah. I gotta back it up.
Was that the burn moment?
Sure. Sure. Because then on top of that, like I want to take it like a step forward. So it's even the reason why I even start a character or a persona, because it's not just to sell, but it's also something that actually pushes me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because when you compete for so long, like I need something that's gonna really take me to another level where I can take my mind and everything, because I don't want to be the laughing stock. You know, I want to prove it to myself. And at the same time, in some sick way, I want to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
And I do have fun.
It almost keeps you accountable too.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm able to kind of use it that way. But even that Moraes fight, to go back, like that's where if you watch the last 36 seconds of round 1, you're going to notice me going southpaw. And then I throw the left hand, and my shoulder completely just went out. And I felt it. And then on top of him kicking me, because I think the night before when I strained my ankle, they happened to be in the next room. They heard a scream. And then they started kind of finding out that something had happened, but they had no idea what it was. But either way, their game plan was to kick me. So then on top of him kicking me, on top of me spraining my ankle, on top of me blowing out my shoulder in those last 36 seconds of round 1, like I'm just like, all right, man. I remember getting back to that second to the corner of round after round 1 was over, and then they're asking me, like Captain Eric asked me, "Hey man, how are your legs?" I'm like, dude, forget my legs. I'm like, I just blew out my shoulder, and then they knew that I was. That's the first time that I ever taped my ankles. I'm gonna show you guys the picture.
Yeah.
But it's the first time that I ever taped my ankles, and then blowing this out. So I knew that I had to go for broke in that fight. First and second round, so I just came at him like, all right, man, legit, kill me or, kill or be killed. And then I was able to kind of start studying his demeanor, and I started seeing him like him knowing that he can't put me away. And then next you know it, round 3 came about. I already knew he was done, and I did all this, and I mean it. I did all this with damn one arm. I had no legs.
Wow. Crazy.
I had my left blew out. I got surgery like. What was it, like 5 days later? They're like, once I got the MRI, they're like, hey, man, we got to get you to the emergency room. Your thing is, I couldn't raise anything. But I had 2 belts, and I was happy with that.
Yeah. It probably made it that much sweeter, too.
Oh, it did.
You're like, I beat you with one arm.
Yeah, because if people really understood at that time, Marlon was like a savage, bro. Like, he was the scariest dude in that division at that time. Knocked out Aljamain cold. Knocked out Alsancia. Like, knocked out his last 3 opponents in round 1. And then here I am, going up another weight class, and I decided to troll with the snake, with the rabbit. I started slamming things on the ground, you know what I mean, to kind of get into his head.
Yeah.
Like, he was out there. He really wanted to prove a lesson to me. But then once I did, I'm just like, yeah, this was it sucks because I was out for a year, but it was definitely worth it.
It was definitely sweet. Do you think you had more joy winning the gold medal over the double champ?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. When Olympic gold, man, I couldn't sleep for like 2 weeks because my reality was like better than my dream.
Yeah. This portion of the Burn Factory podcast is sponsored by Phoenix Salon Suites. Please visit Phoenix Salon Suites at PHENIX Salons SALON Suites SUITES.com to find one near you. All right, it's time to go to R. You unfortunate. There's so many unfortunate moments that we go through throughout life, but it ultimately builds you to who you are. Like for you, all those childhood times really brought you and built you to who you are. And so it's time to go to something a little more light. R stands for ridiculous. So all these fights, all these social media, all this appearances. Were there any ridiculous moments that you had encountered that you could share with us?
You guys, all my ridiculous moments are all on the internet, dude. So you guys can watch them all. I'm known as the king of cringe for a reason.
Yeah.
But no. I think they're ridiculous. That comes to mind is because I'm a patriot. As you guys know, it's like I'm Mexican descent, but I'm an American, and I name my daughter America. And something just to pay oath. And this was actually in Denver, Colorado. And this is a friend of mine whose name's Frankie Sanchez. He was trying to, I guess, I forget what band or somebody had pulled out. We'll say Boys II Men. They're supposed to sing the national anthem at the Golden Boy Promotions event in Denver in 2009, I believe. And I remember my friend, because he knew that I knew a lot of people. He said, "Hey, man, do you know anybody that could kind of be a backup? You know anybody that could see that could be a backup?" And I'm just like, kind of thought about it, kind of stay silent. And then I'm like, yeah, I could do it. So this dude's he's thinking like a promoter. It's like, if I promote the Olympic gold medalist about to sing, it seems like he thinks I can sing, but it probably sounds like a good idea. So I'm just like, yeah, no. I says I could do it, man. I can sing the national anthem, dude. Like I'll do it. I've always wanted to do it. It's always been a thing on my bucket list. Like I remember getting ready, when you get ready to watch like a boxing event, I'm just like, no, I'm gonna sing it. You know what I'm saying? No, like throw me the ball, throw me the Hail Mary. But this is how ridiculous, this is how ballsy you got to be to do something like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily know like all the lyrics. Like obviously you do know the lyrics if you can sing it along with somebody. Mm-hmm. But then singing it along with somebody and actually memorizing that thing like by yourself is a whole nother story. So then I probably had a couple of weeks by the time he asked me. At this time, I was in Phoenix. I'm like, no, man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to fly out to Denver. I'm going to go do this thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Kind of feeling the jitters a little bit. But throughout those 2 weeks, I remember like looking at a bunch of like bloopers of the actual national anthem. So I thought it was fun. I was like, hey, what if this happens to me? It was at Carl Lewis. I think Carl Lewis was one of them where he messed up the national anthem. It was somebody else, but it was like, it was just like funny. Because I was just like, man, how can you mess up something so patriotic? And I was doing this as much as I was studying like the actual words and all that. I was also kind of like playing around and kind of playing with fire while listening to these bloopers. This is where you got to be careful too.
Yeah.
So then I get to Denver. I'm just like, man, as the day gets closer, I'm just like, man, you're almost kind of thinking, I want to back out, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I ain't going to do this. But it's just like, no, I went too far. My flyers are out. Like, everything's out. Like, I gotta be the one to start the show.
So you did it?
Yeah, so then I go up in the ring. And this is legit, dude. I think there's a video out there that somebody has sent to me on Facebook because somebody actually recorded it. So then I was with a buddy of mine who was, his name's Mike Wang. He's a Chinese-American guy. And he actually even flew down. I was like, no, man, how can I, I'm a patriot too, man. How can I not be there for my boy when he's singing the national anthem? And I was just like, damn. I was like, God, leave, man. It meant a lot that he did that. He legit like flew out to like watch me. And I remember one thing before I went up is like, hey, let me tell you something, Henry. Just in case you mess up, make sure to tell these people, like, start singing the national. But if you do mess up, just say, I forgot what he said. He said, you know what I'm saying? Or he told me to say something along those lines. So that was the last thing that kind of went into my mind. Is like, and you got the rest.
And just tell the crowd to keep singing.
Yeah, you got the rest. Like, I was just like, but that was the last advice that I got into my head. So when I go up there, and it's different because you can sing a national anthem, but if you don't simulate the freaking lights here and the cameras here and everything's kind of just here, and you're seeing drunk people kind of like everybody's talking, and then the lights are hitting you, and then they give you a mic. Like, if you don't simulate that damn song, like, you're gonna screw up. So that's exactly what happened in my position. As I start singing, oh, say, can you see? You know the rest. And then I'm just like, I'm like there, like, and I just grabbed the mic. I'm just like, this is in front of thousands of people, dude. And I'm just like, I think everybody knew that I was trying. So then everybody kind of started singing along with me. And we ended up finishing the song, and then I ended up getting like a standing ovation. And I even like apologized. Like, guys, I meant to like ridicule the song, dude. I just I appreciate you guys like joining me and helping me. Like it means the world, but I do apologize. And
How long
I was probably about 20. I was 21 years old. Yeah, I was young.
Like right after.
Yeah, it was right after the Olympics too. So you imagine that.
Yeah,
This was live television, but like it wasn't like some mediocre. So it was literally legit the Golden Boy Promotions event, and they gave me that opportunity. I just fumbled. So you want to talk about something ridiculous? There you have it.
How long did it take you to get through the whole?
Oh, it took a minute because everybody was kind of like chiming in, and I kind of started singing along with them, and then it turned out to kind of be all right. Like it kind of turned out to be not as bad as I thought it was gonna go. Like even though that was bad, but there was a lot of people got it, and I remember my friend afterwards came up to me. He's like, "Hey man, I just want to let you know." He was almost kind of like crying. He was like, "I just want to let you know how much I admire you for having the balls that you have." And he shook my hand.
I admire it too. I don't think I could ever say
I would never,
especially in front of thousands of people like that. Oh man.
Yeah, but the moral of the story is if you're gonna do something, like do it right. And I because I was so young and like dumb that I thought it was I saw the humor in it, but with something like that, like you don't want to do that.
If someone approached you again to do it, would you do it again?
I might.
You might?
Yeah, I think I would. To maybe make it up. But I'd probably now get like somebody that could actually teach me like some of the notes on how to really sing, and then actually get the words right.
Get some vocal coaches going.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You gotta get the high notes.
Maybe Priest, we'll get you out there. You sing the national anthem.
You like Michael Jackson?
Hey man,
that's what he was saying. He's a big.
Hey man, I can moonwalk. That's about it.
No, but that's funny. I could never do the national anthem. I suck at singing.
Yeah.
People were like, "Oh, give it a try, give it a try." My parents like, "Give it a try," but I'm like, "Ugh, I don't think I could." Larry always jokes
Jason,
at me.
Gina, yeah, he's a
No,
singer. Yeah,
he can sing.
He got all faith, bro.
You should.
No.
What's the country song you were singing?
Oh yeah, so we were in Tennessee and we went to the Country Music Hall of Fame, and there was like a booth that you could sing in, and they made me get on the mic and the headphones, and I sang a country song, but it's embarrassing.
It was good. It wasn't
It's
bad.
embarrassing.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine that. Now imagine the lights, everything.
With thousands
Of people.
Yeah, it was a trip, but no, but I think it's the cool thing about it is at least I did it. Maybe I didn't do it right, but I did it.
Good experience.
Yeah.
Looks like your singing career is not over.
That might be my burnt moment.
Yeah, could
Like
be.
Henry Cejudo goes and makes his own song, and you see him on record labels.
He's singing the Super Bowl national anthem one day.
Man, that would be the dream, right?
That'd be the dream.
Taylor Swift, move out the way. I'm coming for you.
But other than that, are there any other ridiculous burr moments that you've went through?
It's got to be slamming the snake.
Yeah, I mean, obviously some of my theatrics. And so to get back to that, so some of the ridiculous stuff that really saved the whole division. It was when I was getting ready to fight TJ Dillashaw and Dana White. I had met up with Dana White, and Dana White legit told me, he's like, "Hey Henry, we're about to, after I beat Demetrius Johnson, he's like, hey Henry, we're about to, we're gonna get rid of the flyweight division." He legit told me, like, we went to lunch. I remember I was at this was like maybe the first or second episode, maybe the first episode of the actual Contenders. This was back in 2018.
Wow.
And he's like, "Hey man, I just wanted you to hear it from me that we're getting ready to cut the flyweight division." And that's just like, I remember my heart like kind of like sinking, but at the same time I was like, man, I'm kind of tired of cutting weight. 'Cause I was struggling, dude. And then from doing cutting weight your whole damn life, you're like, man, but then I just thought about everybody who's not big enough for the bantamweight division. Because even though I'm short, like I'm a girthy, you know what I mean? Like I got meat, like, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of these guys, I had a lot of training partners that were flyweights, and I kind of just thought of them. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like. So then when he told me that, and I talked to my manager, Ali, he's like, by law, he can't do that unless you relinquish the belt. Mm. So at this time, TJ Dillashaw wanted to come down because that was the original plan. Let's get TJ Dillashaw versus Demetrius Johnson at 125 pounds. We want TJ Dillashaw to beat him. So then, but I also kind of wanted the opportunity when I fought. I was like, no, I want to go up because Demetrius Johnson was supposed to go up. Like, it was kind of like that trick. But then again, I thought about it. I'm just like, you know what? Let's bring TJ Dillashaw down then. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, all right. As of right now, he is the A side. I'll abide. I said, because I know that I'm going to beat him at 125 pounds. And after I beat him at 125 pounds, we're going to fight for his belt. So I'm going to get a chance to double dip. You know, so that's why I saw it. So then I told Dana White, I told Ali to tell Dana White, and everybody was like, no, Henry wants TJ Dillashaw to come down and he'll challenge him. And everybody agreed. Because they're going to give me a shot at 135 pounds if I relinquish the belt. Because as soon as I relinquish the belt, they're going to dissolve the whole division. And this is things that people don't know. So I took it upon myself to create a character known as a King of Cringe to be able to bring attention to the flyweight division. Because I was never like that. Go back and look at all my other stuff. Go back and look at me pre-Demetrius Johnson. And then go look at me, you know, post-Demetrius Johnson. How much of it actually changed. So then I'm just thinking, I remember talking to Captain Eric. I'm just like, Eric, you know, we gotta do something to be different. Because 55 people's jobs are about to vanish. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mine being included. So then I'm just like, so then I just started kind of like thinking. So then my mom was like, all right, man, this is what I'm gonna do at the press conference. I'm gonna show up with the gold jacket, with snake pants, and I'm gonna put my gold medal on. And then right before we have the face off,
in the hat.
Yeah. And then right before we have the face off, I'm going to pull a snake out because TJ is known as a snake, and I'm going to whip it down the floor and then just boom, see how much attention we could actually get. And then everything that I eventually ended up doing ended up going viral, dude. You know, it was on ESPN, First Take. And I'm just like, damn, really? For that? You know, it even went far beyond than what I really thought. And then people started saying, like, man, this dude is cringe. And then I kind of started laughing. I started reading some of the comments, and I'm like, I got that humor where I think a lot of the stuff that these people say is just like hilarious. Like, I don't take that stuff personal. And I'm just like, man, that's pretty good. Like, that's I get why McGregor and a lot of you guys have done what they've done to sell tickets. And then sure enough, I go out there, you know, whip the snake out, ended up fighting TJ, ended up knocking him out in 32 seconds. And then it still wasn't kind of like patched. And I started kind of getting on the mic. If you go back and actually watch my post-fight interview with TJ, I'm just like, hey guys, I hope this was for the flyweight division. I hope this was enough to save the flyweight division. I said, this was beyond me. This was for the flyweight division. So Dana White, you know, the flyweight division is staying. But it still wasn't as, like, even after beating TJ Dillashaw, like, it was still on eggshells. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was still like, unless I relinquished the belt, then the whole division would have been gone.
Yeah.
And Dana would tell you this. Like, they'll be like, hey, this kid legit saved the division. So then after I beat Marlon Moraes, once I beat him, he's just like, man, this kid is special. You know, and that's when I started coming out with the crown, and then boom, we're just kind of taking the King of Cringe to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started. And then after I beat Marlon Moraes, Dana White said, you know, he said, hey, this kid's something special. The flyweight division is staying.
Did you feel an excess amount of pressure going into the TJ fighting for the division? Or was it just another fight?
It was just another fight. But yeah, I think if anything, it was a pressure that really kind of pushed me to get the job done. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like a pressure like, oh my God, everybody's looking at me, I don't want to let anybody down. Like, no. It was more like, no, there's a lot at stake here. Yeah. And I'm gonna make it extra special.
Well, think about all the other lives you've changed. I mean, Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno, Pantoja, like, these guys would be non-existent if it wasn't for you.
They can give me 10% of their purse every time I fight. How about that?
Maybe
Ain't that
they
right,
should.
Jason? Come on.
Maybe they should. But no. Yeah, you paved the way for them, and they should thank you for that.
And they still hate me. What's going on with that?
They still hate me.
I give them their job, and they still hate me. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Crazy business, my man.
It's a crazy business. You got to, tell us that story about you and Brandon. What's going on there?
Yeah. Now are we going to the letter N or what's going on?
Okay, yeah, we can move into N. We'll move in. So N is 2 parts. It's now and next. So starting with now, like what are some burn moments you're going through right now? And then move into next. What are some burn moments you're going through next?
You know, we can go back and actually talk about Brandon. I just figured the end would somehow be, you know, somehow it would connect to Brandon. But
It does. It kind of does.
yeah, you think so? Like how would
Maybe.
how would I connect it? Tell me.
I don't know. It's a relevant thing right now.
Yeah.
So like what is going on in your life right now? Like what are some burn moments? Inside fighting, outside fighting. What are some things that you're going through right this moment?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot I think right now, obviously, this Saturday is going to say a lot about what is it that's going to happen. You know, I'm ranked now number 3 in the world, so I just think the rankings. If I think Aljamain wins, it's going to be it's going to allow me to maybe be in that title picture once again, which it should. And then, but going back to the whole Brandon story is like, yeah, dude, we're boys, man. Like Brandon and myself, like he was my head. He was pretty much my main training partner for Juicy Formiga, and then when I first fought Demetrius Johnson, and then you know we're close as could be. You know what I'm saying? He would actually stay with me, not just him, but I was. You know, I'm that type of guy that where I feel like if somebody really needs something, like I'll do it. You know, like not just him staying with me, but actually his family too, like his kids. I know how important it is for him to have them. So like just everybody pretty much staying at my house. And we had a good bond, man. I was able to be part of, you know, obviously he helped me for Juicy for me, he helped me for Demetrius Johnson, and then I was able to get him on the Ultimate Fighter, and that was part of one of my things that I wanted. You know, if I was gonna be coach, it's like, you know, get this Mexican kid who's here. At least we put in the word. You know, I'm not saying that Brandon didn't deserve it, but when you put in the word, you're about to be the coach. It's like, all right, man, you know, we'll give you that size. So we ended up, you know, helping Brandon in the situation of actually getting in, you know, because he was the champion at WFF, and obviously he was my training partner. So I make sure at that time that my agent, which wasn't Ali, it was somebody else, Bill McFarland, that he knew that I was going to become coach with Joe Benavides to be the Ultimate Fighter coaches. But this is the only thing that I asked for. I didn't ask for more money. I didn't ask for any of that stuff. I didn't have to pull at that time either way. So then I get him on there, and we get on the show. You know, it's like everything's fine and dandy. And then at that time, the Ultimate Fighter, at that season, they were picking like 17 or 16 of the best guys in the world. So they were picking guys from South Africa, from Australia, from Fiji, New Zealand, Kai Kara France, Pantoja from Brazil, Brandon from Mexico. I mean, they like, to me, like the toughest Ultimate Fighter of all time is look at Tough 24. You can see a lot of guys who now are former champs that came out of that season. And you know, like so then you know, I get them on the show. We're both there. Me and Benavides are coaches, and from what they told us, the rules and how is it that everything was kind of be selected is it was time to pick the teams. And they said nobody knew the rankings or anything like that, but they said, hey, if you pick this guy, it's going to be on ranking. The other guy, it's all going to go by seedings. So if you pick number 1, number 16, the last seed goes into the opposite team. If you pick number 2, okay, number 15 goes to the opposite team. You know, and me knowing Brandon and knowing that he was the last person to pretty much get in, when we spoke to the team, they're like, Henry, because we don't want to lose a top pick and know he's your boy. He's like, pick Brandon second so we don't lose, because we know how good he is, but pick him second so we don't lose, or we don't get another guy that's more likely going to win or lose. You know what I'm saying? So what I did is I ended up, so then the picking came in, and then I think Joe had the first pick, and he picked I want to say he picked Tim Elliott. And once he picked Tim Elliott, like which I think Tim Elliott was number 2 or 3. I think it was number 13 that came into our team. So then it was my turn to pick. And then I ended up picking, again, I know a lot of this stuff. I know the scene, I know anything, but I just knew that as a team, everybody wanted me So it was a business decision to pick Brandon second. But as soon as so I ended up picking Pantoja number 1, and when Pantoja happens to be the number 1 seed, the number 16 happened to be Brandon, and then Brandon went to the opposite team. Like, you know what I'm saying? So this is how it worked. So I'm just like, damn. So right there, like that whole show, like I was already kind of upset with myself because, and even with the team, but at the same time I was being a team player because I understood what we were trying to do. You know what I'm saying? Because we did help Brandon to get into Tough 24. So guess what? Because he was because he was the last seed to probably get in through us, that we're gonna pick him at 16. We're gonna put him last. So that's kind of how it worked out.
So they kind of got you.
In some ways, but I think destiny works out for his best. So then that's what happened. So then I was just kind of like, but then 3 days later, because it was 1 in the 16th seed, Brandon and Pantoja fought like 2 days later, or 3 days later, maybe 2 days later. So they're telling everybody, hey, everybody, you guys be on weight because more likely you're gonna fight. Like if you're the number 1 seed, 16th seed, like you're fighting right away. So everybody was already kind of down on weight. So 2 days later, like these dudes officially fought. So then when Brandon and Pantoja fought, like I was like, hey guys, I'm out. Dude. I'm not going to coach this guy. Like I'm not going to coach Pantoja. So I just kind of removed myself from the corner. And then, that's when Pantoja and Brandon fought. And then Pantoja ended up beating him. And I went up to Brandon. I apologized. I said, hey man, that wasn't my intention. That wasn't the way it's supposed to go, and then that's just what it was. So then for like 6 weeks, which is the Ultimate Fighter, I kind of lived with that guilt of feeling like a backstabber in some sense. But I hope you guys also do understand the scenario too, of why the team was thinking about doing it that way. And then the whole show happened, the whole shows happened, and we, and he got super close to Benavidez, and I understand, man. If somebody takes care of you, I get it, dude. And me and him were supposed to fight, and at that time, like Benavidez was being a dick to me, and this is before the King of Crazy. Like I was just trying to be like, I wasn't trying to do things in front of camera for like attention. Like at that time, I still wanted to be like that all-American boy of, non-violence and not really understanding the game like how I understand it now. I know everything that's based on sales. And then I remember the show was over pretty much, and I remember going up to Brandon, and I'm just like, and I remember going up to him, and we were just talking and whatnot. I was like, and he told me, he's like, hey man, I just want to let you know that, I became really close to Joe Benavidez, man. So because I came super close to him, like I don't want to help you against him, but I don't want to be in his camp nor your camp. Like you guys are gonna have to kind of deal with this stuff on your own. And I shook hands with them. I was like, dude, I understand, dude. After what it is that happened and you build a relationship, I get it. And you know what I mean? Like it was already like a strain. I shook his hand. Like it was still kind of a little weird. But then like our fight officially starts to get closer. And then next you know it, I get as the fight gets closer and like Brandon gave me his word that he wasn't going to train at either side. Next you know, this dude's training with Joe Benavidez, man.
For his camp, like pretty much to beat me. So I'm just like kind of like thrown off. I'm just like, dude, you just gave me your word. Like I hope you guys understood the situation. What is it that happened that you were chosen? That we were planning on choosing you number 2 because we didn't want to get another low seed because the key of the tournament was to try to get our fighters to eventually start winning. Like we don't want to shut us. So if you pick somebody that people don't know, it's like Joe never knew who Brandon Moreno was. So I don't get why is it that he would nobody was going to pick him. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
So then he did that. And then I was just like, once he did that, I was just like, kind of like my gloves would come off. I was a bit hurt. Because I was just like, man, like you knew the situation, bro. Like your family stayed with me. Like I had you here. Like I did, you know what I mean? Like I tried to be the best friend that I could. And I listened to the team at that point. You gave me your word, like all that other stuff. And yeah, sure enough, I ended up fighting. I ended up losing like a split decision loss.
That you didn't lose.
And that's probably one that I can say, I don't know how I lost. You know what I'm saying? And sure enough, after the loss, like Brandon comes up to me and he's just like, hey man, you won that fight. And I'm kind of just like, I was kind of like, man, like get out of here, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I knew I kind of won, but I don't know the same judge, Derek Cleary, scored 4-0 against me in that fight. And it was a split decision loss. Like, think about it. It's the same guy that scored that 5th round to Aljamain Sterling. So think about how everything kind of correlates. Yeah, it's a trip.
Oh man.
So then after that, I'm just like, I was still kind of like cool, man, because I still had a lot of love for him. I'm just like, I get it, man. Maybe I do deserve it because I got it that way. I'm just like, nah, man, that's like a kick in the balls a little bit. Like, I helped you get into the show. You gave me where that you want to go over. Then you went over there without even telling me.
Yeah.
So then his coach, and he never apologized to me. Like, his wife sent me a message, which I still think I have now. Like, because she felt bad. She's like, hey, I just want to let you know. This was after the Benavidez fight. Like, I just want to let you know that I'm sorry, man, that the way things kind of happened. His coach, too, our Vizu at that time, whoever did it, he did the same thing. They apologized, but there was nothing I could do now, man.
Yeah.
So then I ended up. I ended up. The UFC, they were trying to like make a fight between both of us. And we're at the UFC PI, and I saw him, and I'm just like, hey, man, let's fight, dude. Like, this is the only way to do it now, man.
How long ago
like,
was this?
This was like in 2016.
2016.
Right after my loss, I'm like, let's scrap, dude. Like, let's fight. Because I always saw him like as a little brother. And I'm like, as a big brother, you kind of want to teach him or show him what is it that, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, man, like you took the gloves, like the gloves are off. But then I told him in Spanish, let's fight. And he just told me something in English. I'm sorry, in Spanish. He was like, I don't want to fight you, Henry, because te tengo mucho cariño. Like, I don't want to tell you because I have too much love for you. Translation. So then when he told me that, I just kind of just left it. Mm-hmm. Like, I never picked on him or anything like that. I was just like, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's just a distant memory for me.
Yeah.
So then that whole thing happened. It kind of always stuck with me. So then when he fought against Davis and Figueiredo, so now we fast forward everything, and he ended up becoming champion. And I was there. I was front row. I was like, yeah, I always knew this dude was special. Like, I always knew it, even in the wrestle, when we would spar and all that. Like, it was always super close, or not close, but like, I would get the better of him. But I always knew that the potential of him getting better was like, he was good.
Close,
he was good. Like, he may look like McLovin, the Mexican McLovin, but the dude could actually fight.
Yeah.
So it's not like he just came out of nowhere. No, the dude's been fighting longer than I have, maybe double what I have. And then I happened to just run into Davison Figueiredo at a restaurant, and then I actually brought up the idea. I was like, Davison, I can help you win, dude. I said, if you trust me, dude, I can help you get your belt back. I says, I know how to beat this dude. You know, so you know what I'm saying? And he looked at me, and I just told him a little bit. I'm like, Davison, you weren't ready for war today, like, you just weren't there. But I'm like, but I can help you. I can help you game plan. This time, you know, I was working with Wei Lee, with Jones, with, you know, Dimitri, some of the best guys in the world. And I'm just like, just come over, dude. Come over for 3 months. Sure enough, he took me on his word. And then we ended up, you know, I helped Davis in that whole camp. We ended up bringing back that world title. Dude. Like, he stayed disciplined. Like, he understood the game plan, and we ended up beating him. And that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah. So flipping things back on you, next, what's next for you? Obviously tonight is a big fight, but what is coming in your future? What are some burn moments that you see coming up?
Getting this title back, man. That's what I want more than anything. Like, right now, it's like I used to try to chase Volkanovski because I know how good he is. But right now, it's not about that. Right now, it's about really getting what I'm set out to do. So I feel that pain once again. Remember that pain that I was talking about? It's like, I don't want to feel that pain no more.
Do you want to rerun it with Aljo? Or
I would like to rerun it with Aljo, but it seems like Aljo's saying, I'm too big. No, like 45. He's not going to do anything at 45. But if I had my choice, I'd love to get Aljo again because I know the mistakes that I made and kind of to be better for that fight and to actually win and really make a statement. But I would, if it's not Aljo, I would want his boyfriend Marab. You know, do I need another belt? No, but I need it.
Yeah, you need it.
You need that win back.
No more feeling that pain of losing.
No more.
But all right, Henry, well, you just spelt burn in your life. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell the viewers,
guys.
Give it a clap. Thank you. Tell the viewers where they can find you, Instagram, social media.
You guys can find me everywhere. You guys can find me at the club. You guys can find me. No, you guys can find me at Instagram, Twitter. You guys just Google Henry Cejudo. You guys will see everything. So you guys make sure to subscribe to my damn YouTube channel too.
You heard the man. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Also, go give him some love on social media. And as a gift for coming on the podcast, Henry, you will be getting the Black Label Edition Burn Factory hoodie. Ooh. I can't reach it.
There you go. Only guests get that. So black is reserved for the guest. You got the t-shirt.
What if I put it on the black market, dude?
You probably sell it for some good money.
Good cheddar.
That's nice. Thank you, guys.
Of course. And like always, please visit my foundation as well, thepriestjamesfoundation.org. Again, thepriestjamesfoundation.org to understand why this is called the Burn Factory.
And we'll see you guys for the next episode. Peace.
All right, guys, we're here with Henry Cejudo, who just spelled burn in his life, and he is now the Burn Factory podcast champion.
C4.
C4, baby. What's up? What's up?
Let's go.
What's your burn moment?
Let's go. What's your burn moment? Come on the show. Come get this belt.